I'm going to take you abroad briefly. The French presidential hopeful Eric Zemmour has been ordered to pay a €10,000 fine for, quote, inciting hatred and racial abuse. During an interview in September of 2020, the hard-right candidate made a series of comments about unaccompanied migrant children, of whom he said this, quote, they have nothing to do here. They are thieves, they are murderers, they are rapists. That's all they are. They must be sent back, and they must not even come. Well, Zemmour has already been prosecuted 15 times over the last decade for various speech-related offences. Joining us now, Paris correspondent for The Telegraph, Anne-Élisabeth Moutet. Anne-Élisabeth, thanks so much for your time. Very much appreciated. He seems to have gone too far this time.
Well, yes and no, Colin, because he's already been accused by a different set of organisations a year ago for what he said. What you quoted is true, but not complete. He first said that those children were actually not minors. They were masquerading as minors. And he said some of them. But it still is sort of something violent. However, last time he was condemned the first time, and then he appealed, and he won the appeal because this was not racial hatred. His barrister pleaded that the fact that he said these are people who masquerade as something, but no mention of ethnicity or of origin, meant that you could not call this racial hatred. He's appealing now, and it may very well be that again he will be the judgment will be overturned. We're watching this. Of course, it's very convenient for his opponent to get him sort of pigeonholed as a racist, and the person who's had most got to gain of this is Marine Le Pen, because the two of them are battling for the large, extensive vote of the French far right, and if he goes down, she goes up.
Is it that binary? Well, yeah. I mean, where is he in the polls, Anne-Élisabeth? I mean, he had that amazing. I was going to call it renaissance. It wasn't. He just emerged almost from nowhere, from 24-hour news talk shows, onto the scene, and astonished everybody with ratings that just seemed scarcely plausible. They fell back a little bit. Where are we now?
Oh, he's not doing that well right now. He's doing about 15.5%, whereas Marine Le Pen is doing 17.5 or 18, which is exactly the same thing as the Républicain candidate, the centre-right candidate from the same party as Nicolas Sarkozy and Jacques Chirac, Valérie Pécresse. It's still a very heated race, but certainly Eric Zemmour has lost momentum, and his enemies, I mean, he has enemies on the left who absolutely believe what they're saying, as opposed to Marine Le Pen, who's sort of thinking this is absolutely wonderful. She doesn't like him. She feels that he's taking his opportunity. But it's a very strange election. We've never seen this, a situation in which there is no left-wing candidate that has even a hope of being in the second round. The official candidate of the Socialist Party, Anne Hidalgo, the Paris mayor, now is polling 2.5%. This is the party of François Mitterrand and François Hollande. It's very, very strange. And of course, the candidate who still sort of has got about 25% voting intentions in the first round, that's when everybody competes, and then you've got a runoff 2 weeks later when you've got number one and number two slugging it off. But it's Emmanuel Macron who stands a very fat chance of being re-elected. He wants Marine Le Pen to run because he knows he will win against her.
There is one question about who Macron's likely to face. The way you describe things, though, Anne-Élisabeth, it's more interesting, this idea that the left has fallen away completely from the electoral picture, and that I think what we call in this country the Overton window, the sort of the discourse of the window that surrounds the parameters that surround the sort of acceptable discourse. It's moved in France. It's moved to the right.
Oh, it has moved to the right, but you have to realise that it was far less to the right than, say, the discourse in Britain. Zemmour has never said anything that was remotely beyond what the Daily Mail does every day. You can tell me that they're not candidates, but Nigel Farage did not say many things that Zemmour would not have said. So that was, to some extent, there's a bit of sort of going back into a general feeling in Europe, which started in 2015 when immigration suddenly became a problem. Until then, we had lived like Britain with waves of immigration that actually helped the country build, cars and houses. And there was the sort of overturn of the situation, which had been slowly brewing since the years of François Mitterrand in the 1880s and 90s. And now it's become a major issue in the elections. And what's very interesting is all the candidates for the Republican primary, the people over whom Valérie Pécresse won, these are all the successors of Jacques Chirac. These are people that kept on sort of applying policies that were stronger than anything that even Zemmour has said. They wanted one of them, Eric Ciotti, who probably will be the Home Secretary if Valérie Pécresse is elected, says that he wants a French Guantanamo for people who've overstayed their welcome in France or never had a visa and commit crimes, so that even if they have committed a crime and they've already done their prison term, then they have to be sent to a place indefinitely. Valérie Pécresse herself was very strong about migration. This is a woman who is, she's really sort of on the left wing of the Républicain Party. So that window really has been suddenly moving in an incredible way. They were all fighting about law and order, which is something that was almost a dirty word in France 5 years ago.
Anne-Élisabeth Moutet, lovely to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for your time. Thanks a lot.